You didn't think I'd go all week without talking baseball, did you? We got the mid-season predictions video. Let's talk some baseball, baby. What's going on, everyone? Welcome back into another episode for Just a Bet Outside. I'm your host, Steven. Did you guys miss me? Because I did miss you guys. I'm ready to talk some more baseball. Yes, we are on the All-Star break. This is brutal for sports fans. There is just nothing going on. But hopefully, you guys enjoyed that home run derby with that Bobby Witt losing on his last swing with the ball off the wall. Congrats to Teoscar Hernandez on winning it. I don't think anyone saw that one coming. But it's been a wild first half of the MLB season, and I want to talk about it. That's right. But like all the daily videos we do, let's start out with that baseball fun fact. So here we go. Three teams have never had an MVP. Who are they? It is the Mets, D-backs, and Rays. Mets are a much older franchise, so obviously not looking good there. But anyways, that is the fun fact for today. Now, before we get into letting you know what we're going to be talking about in this mid-season video, and I can't wait. I got lots of futures predictions. I got lots of things to talk about. I got to tell you about Outlier. You guys know all about it. If you have not joined Outlier yet, you're absolutely missing out. It is an incredible app. It's a big reason why we went on that 9-day winning streak as well. And like we mentioned before, it's just a one-stop shop for your betting research. A lot of handicappers use it for a reason. Gives you positive EV, all the stats you need, what money's coming in on what game, what bet, all that kind of stuff. You guys know all about it. Go click that link below in the description. Get that free trial and get started today. So just want to let you guys know of that. But in this video, here we go. We're going to talk two surprise teams and two disappointing teams. We're going to talk about if they can make the playoffs and what's been working, not working for them. And then we're going to talk the playoff race in the AL and the NL. And then I'm going to give you my five. That's right, my five best mid-season future bets. I am excited. There is some that I absolutely love. As you guys know, last year we hit Blake Snell for a nice Cy Young winner. And then we're going to end it by just giving my World Series prediction, because why not? That's the fun of this. So, and then we'll wrap it all up just showing you all the bets on the recap page, of course. So hit that like button, leave a comment below like you guys do all the freaking time. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button as we do daily MLB, NBA, and NFL videos, which, by the way, NFL right around the corner, starting my deep dive into that. It's going to be a lot of fun. So on this exact video last year, on the MLB midseason recap video, we were on our way to 5,000 subscribers. That is no longer the case. We have much more than that now, as we are now on our way to 27,000 freaking subscribers, all thanks to you guys. So we appreciate all the support in the last year. But let's get into it. And it starts with some surprise teams. All right, you just saw it. It is the Cleveland Guardians as our first surprise team. I mean, this team has been unbelievable, guys. 58-37, the best record in the American League. Stephen Vogt from this neck of the woods doing one hell of a job. They have a plus 85 run differential, second best behind the New York Yankees. Their offense, a big part of that is they made adjustments to the park. As you guys know, they've made it much more hitter friendly and took out some of those right and left field bleachers. It's made some sort of wind tunnel, making home runs easier to hit and all that. And you've seen it. Their home runs, I mean, this team was awful last year with power, but this year right now, 10th best WRC plus at 107, 100 is average. They have struggled a bit more in the last few weeks, but this is a big bat to ball team. Big bat to ball team. Yeah, that made sense. Contact team. Obviously starts with the man, Stephen Kwan, hitting 354, 409 on base percentage. They got guys like David Fry, who's just a lefty killer, Andres Jimenez, Jose Ramirez, and then Josh Naylor, et cetera, to make it a pretty decently deep lineup. But the big difference from last season, like I mentioned before, they were dead last in home runs, and it wasn't even close. It was unbelievable. Last year, they only hit as a team 124 home runs. This season, they already have 109. They are 10th in the major leagues. The different ballpark obviously helps that as well. They got two guys who could hit 40 home runs, Jose Ramirez and Josh Naylor. Naylor has 22. Ramirez has 23 when he had 24 all of last season. Now, the starting pitching rotation is just horrendous. Let's be honest. It's a big weakness here. Justin Bieber got hurt earlier this year. They have the 24th best ERA as a starting rotation at 4.53. Tanner Bybee seems to be the only one that I really trust, or their team probably trusts. 3.77 ERA, 28.4% K rate. You know all the numbers with him. And then it's just a bunch of guys. You got Old Man Carrasco, Ben Lively, who's just, meh. Logan Allen, the lefty, who I don't think is good at all. Tristan McKenzie, who they trusted, now demoted to the minor leagues. I mean, it has been absolutely ugly in the starting rotation. but the bullpen is as good as it gets. I mean, this is the #1 bullpen in the major leagues. They have allowed the fewest runs per game in the last 2 innings at 0.48 runs per game, and also the fewest runs per game in the last 3 innings of a game at 0.73 per game. I mean, when they have the lead going to the 7th, 8th inning, it's pretty much over. They have one of the absolute best closers in the game in Clase. And like I said, #1 bullpen ERA at 2.64. Next closest is Atlanta at 2.92. The third highest Ks per nine is a bullpen. I mean, et cetera, et cetera. Now, that's what's going on with the team. Will they make the playoffs? I have my worries. I'm going to be honest with you. The AL Central, I don't want to say too much because I do have a bet in this division later on. But they do hold a 4.5 game lead right now over the Minnesota Twins. I think it's going to be a fun race, but like I said, we will talk about it later. But I do see some negative regression coming from this Guardians team, that's for sure. But anyways, that is the first surprise team. There it is. The second surprise team is the Brew Crew, the Milwaukee Brewers. Who had them 1 game worse than the LA Dodgers at the All-Star break? I sure as heck didn't, that's for sure. Dodgers spend $1 bazillion, and here we are, even with the Brewers. But Brewers, in the offseason, traded away their head coach, obviously, in Craig Counsell. It's supposed to be somewhat of a rebuild year for them, but that's not what's happening, because they also lost Corbin Burns, obviously. No Brandon Woodruff due to injury. And they sit 4.5 games up in the NL Central at 55-42. They have a +79 run differential. They did end the first half stumbling a little bit, going 3-7 in the last 10. But this offense really surprised me. I'm going to be honest with you. They haven't been an offense that I've really trusted lately in the last couple of years. But first of all, you got the resurgence of the former MVP Christian Yelich. Just absolutely smoking the ball right now, hitting 327, 933 OPS. Unbelievable. 9th best WRC plus, 14th slugging, 4th best batting average, 3rd highest walk rate. I mean, they've been solid. It's not really a fluke. I'm going to be honest with you. And when you have Yelich back now to go with William Contreras, who's one of the better hitters, harder hitters to get out in this league. Bryce Terang leading off, who isn't bad. Willie Adames has his moments. Chiriot, the young 20-year-old rookie. And then Joey Ortiz hasn't been terrible either. I mean, they got a decent little lineup here. And starting rotation, they're kind of like the Guardians, where this is their weakness. They have the 19th best ERA as a starting rotation. Freddie Peralta, he's the guy they trusted. No Woodruff, no Corbin Burns. It's your time, Peralta, and he has not been making it work. I'm going to be honest. He hasn't been terrible, but he's just been, he's been good. He's been okay. 4.11 ERA, but he does have a 3.46 xFIP, 1.9 WAR. After him, it's a mixed bag also. Colin Rhea, whatever. He is due for some negative regression. I don't think he's going to be as good in the second half as he is in the first half. Tobias Myers, I don't like. I've watched him pitch. He's actually not bad. Aaron Savali had a great first start with the Brewers. Can they turn him around? He was not good for the Rays earlier this year. Bryce Wilson already moved to the bullpen. I mean, only one starter with over 5 starts even has an above average K rate. I mean, they do not have guys that miss bats in this starting rotation. Obviously, that guy is Peralta. Bullpen, like the Guardians, very good. Not as good as the Guardians, but 5th best bullpen ERA, 3.35. Trevor McGill, Brian Hudson, both been good. Hudson's been unbelievable, outstanding. 1.49 ERA, 29.3% K rate. And then McGill's been good in the 9th inning, 18 saves with a 2.05 ERA. This one's tough. Will they make the playoffs? I do think they come back down to earth a little bit in the second half. But again, this is a division full of teams with weaknesses. I mean, it just is what it is. They're talking about Cardinals, Pirates, Cubs, all these kind of teams, and Reds, obviously. So I'm not really a Cardinal believer. They do have a -38 run differential, by the way. But Pirates, in my opinion, they just don't have enough bats. It just is what it is. Yes, Skeens is amazing. They have some good pitching, but they just don't have the bats to compete, in my opinion. And the Reds have been really inconsistent, but they got a chance. We'll talk more about the playoff race in general a little bit later. I don't trust the Cubs at all. Maybe that's just me, but I don't love their offense. They have been playing a little bit better lately. But anyways, yeah, that is the second surprise team. Now let's move over to the disappointing teams. All right, you just saw it. It is the defending World Series champion Texas Rangers. Off to a rough start. It is a little bit of a World Series hangover for them. 46-50 this year, 5.5 games out of first place. It's not completely over for them, but it is a tight AL West right now. Their starting pitching rotation, 10th best ERA is the rotation at 3.82. Getting Max Scherzer back obviously helps. He's not the same elite guy, but he has been pretty solid. But Lorenzen due for some heavy negative regression. He's not a 3.5 ERA guy. His FIP is 5.19, xFIP 4.98. He's not going to be that great. Eovaldi's fine. He's nothing special. But Andrew Heaney, John Gray, they just don't have a lot of dudes that really worry you. Really, they need Jacob DeGrom. Let's face it. And by the way, this is like the worst freaking contract in MLB history. What are you doing, Texas Ranger? It made no sense. And you can say, well, they won a World Series. It had nothing to do with him. He didn't play. He was never healthy, and then they give him 3 years, a buttload of money. Wouldn't that be awesome to just never do something and then get paid a lot of money? That'd be awesome. But anyways, he hasn't been healthy in like a decade. I don't know if he's getting what his deal is in the second half, but offense, this may be one of the most disappointing units in all of baseball. The Texas Rangers offense, they were number one in almost everything last year. That's right. This season, 22nd best WRC plus. They're below average. 18th slugging, 16th WOBA, but it just has not been good. And Adolis Garcia is a big reason. He's been awful. I know we saw him hit bombs in the home run derby, but I've watched him hit a decent amount this year. He just can't hit a fastball. I just see him late on a fastball. His timing is not there right now. He is hitting 214 this year compared to 280 last year. 689 OPS compared to 836 last year. 17 home runs so far this year. He had 39 last year. He already has over 100 strikeouts. So it just has not been working. Marcus Semien has been very average at the top of their order. Then you got guys like Evan Carter, rookie of the year, now hitting 188, battling injuries, 5 home runs. It just has not been good. Corey Seager's been fine. He's been pretty solid. And so is Josh Smith hitting 290. But Wyatt Langford, my boy, I picked to win rookie of the year, is now the favorite to win rookie of the year. So he's been starting to pick it up. But offense has been a struggle. Bullpen, just no bueno. Just that's all there is to it. 25th in ERA, 4.39, giving up the 7th most runs in the last 3 innings of a game. That is not good. Just something to know if you are betting full game Rangers game money line bets. They have given up a lot of runs at the end of games. Kirby Yates has really been the only bright spot for them in the bullpen. Now, can they make the playoffs? My answer is no. I really just don't think they can turn around. I think they've had too many injuries. I think they had some guys that are kind of slumping this year. In the league's kind of catching up to some of these young hitters, and that's why they're struggling this year. Bullpen's weak. Starting rotation is okay. It's relying on like a 40-year-old Max Scherzer, and that's about it. So I think the World Series hangover and the start that they've already had are just too much to overcome. So I don't see them making the playoffs. They are 7.5 games back of a wild card, but 5.5 back of the division. So anyways, the Texas Rangers are the first disappointing team. All right, I know you just saw it, and just hear me out on this one because this is a little different. It is the LA Dodgers. Yes, are they in first place? Yes, they absolutely are. But they have been disappointing, guys. They had an over-under win total of 103.5. It was one of my favorite bets of the year, along with the Marlins team total under and the preseason videos we put out. And they both look like they're going to cash with ease. They're 56 and 41 on their pace to go under right now. They are 26 and 22 versus teams with a record over 500. This is a team that we expected to be one of the best teams in Major League Baseball. Maybe we all had high expectations, but they put a boatload of money on some players. And let's start with that. It's because the starting rotation, Yamamoto. Now, when I talked about them going under wins, it was because their rotation worried me. When I talked preseason, Yamamoto, their $1 bazillion man, now on the 60-day IL. And he's pitched better lately after his rough start, but it just hasn't worked out for him. I mean, he struggled for quite a bit to start the season. Tyler Glasnow been stumbling down the stretch a little bit, and I've talked about this before with him as well. He has never, ever, ever, ever thrown more than 120 innings in his entire career. Can he make it a full season and be strong through the playoffs still? It's going to be a big question mark. Bobby Miller, who was good last year in his rookie season, got demoted because he was absolutely horrendous. They are now relying on guys like Gavin Stone, London, Knick-Knack, Paddywhack, or Landon, sorry. That was the problem with what I just said, right? But I don't mind Gavin Stone. He's not a bad pitcher. Walker Buehler made his return and then went back to the IL. Obviously going to need some time to recover from what he's been dealing with. This is just not a World Series rotation. Now, can they make a big trade? Yes, obviously they can. The big name out there is Mr. Garrett Crochet. We'll see who gets that. But their offense, obviously their biggest strength. Number 1 WRC plus this season, number 6 slugging. Their top 5 of their order are just as good as it gets. I mean, when Mookie comes back and you got Freeman and Ohtani and Teoscar and all those guys, Will Smith, it's great. And then you get to the bottom, it's not that great. I thought they were going to have a more complete lineup, but it's pretty much weak sauce. Let's be honest with you. And they're relying on some young guys. So we'll see what happens there. But again, overall, they're just as good as it gets almost on offense. Bullpen, 3rd lowest ERA, but since June 1st, they have the 12th best ERA at 3.71. I do think they could use one more arm in the pen, but if I were them, I'd be focusing on a starting pitcher, that's for sure. Nobody asked me. I'm just giving my opinion. Trinan and Evan Phillips have been the key to their bullpen. Evan Phillips has been quite the pickup for them. I think it was like a year or two ago. Anthony Banda also been pretty good. Phillips has been struggling a little bit lately, but overall, they got some decent arms. But overall, it's an above average bullpen for sure. Will they make the playoffs? This is a dumb question. Absolutely. Are they going to win the division? Yes, more than likely going to win the division. But I think they got to make a trade if they want to be able to compete with the elite of the elite when it comes playoff time, because this starting rotation is not what they need it to be. Maybe Bobby Miller figures it out. Maybe Yamamoto comes back and just dominates down the stretch and can help. But right now, their starting pitcher depth is a big issue. So the number 2 disappointing team so far is the first place LA Dodgers. And now let's talk the American League playoff race. All right, let's take a look at the American League standings right now. And as you can see, the 3 division leaders are on top: the Guardians, the Orioles, and the Seattle Mariners. Orioles lead the Yanks by 1 game. The Mariners, my Seattle Mariners, the worst run differential of all division leaders, and it's not even close. Plus 19 compared to plus 80 and plus 85, which is where division leaders should be, let's be honest. On the very right, which is why I wanted to show this whole thing, it's kind of cool. You can see their record versus teams with above a 500 record. So it kind of tells you, are they playing these good teams well or not? So anyways, you can see the Yankees and Orioles are head and shoulders above the rest when it comes to playing good teams, and my Mariners have the worst record of the 3 division leaders at 26 and 28 versus winning teams. I'm going to give my take on these divisions and my best bets here in just a little bit. But the wild card could be a fun race. Honestly, I mean, a sleeper team is the Red Sox. I say sleeper. They're actually in the playoffs as the final spot right now. But they've been playing well lately. I do kind of love the lineup. They got some young guys at the bottom of the order, Rafaela and those. And then they might be getting Tristan Casas back pretty soon. If he can come back to form, that would be a huge add for them. If they can add one more solid pitcher, I think they'd be good. Tanner Houck, Cutter Crawford have had good seasons. Can they continue that over the course of the season? We'll see. But I'm not a big Brian Bayo fan, and they've been doing a lot of bullpen days, and that's obviously not that great either. But second sleeper team, maybe the Rays down there. But something you got to remember about the Rays, Jeffrey Springs, who's been a great pitcher, and Drew Rasmussen, I think both may be back pretty soon. They both got Shane Baz back. The Rays did, if I could talk. And they do have some talent in the minors for offense. So, maybe they compete for a wild card spot in the second half as they get some guys back from the rotation. But just some predictions real quick of these. Obviously, I already said there's going to be more on that soon, and so I don't have any predictions. I'll give you more in the NL, but I got a lot to talk about in the AL when it comes to my best bets. So that's the American League playoff race. Now let's move over to the National League and check that out. And we have right there the 3 division winners, the Philadelphia Phillies, number 1 team in the league, 62 and 34. Dodgers 7 games up on the D-backs. Brewers 4.5 games up on the Cardinals. Those are the division leaders. The NL East, let's face it, it's a runaway. The Braves are not what we thought they were going to be. They're not what we thought they were. But a big part is the injuries. I mean, Spencer Strider, Ronald Acuna done for the season, 2 of their best players. But it's a bummer because the Braves have hit on some gems. Chris Sale, how about him finding his groove back? And again, we'll talk about that later. Reynaldo Lopez also having just an absolute career year, and he has been good. I mean, it's no joke. And I don't know, Marcelo Zuna, even though he let us down in the home run derby when I bet him to win, he's been unreal, even at his older age in the mid-30s. They just need Matt Olson, Austin Riley. They need those guys to step up and be superstars, and they just haven't this year, let's face it. But the Braves should cruise to a first wild card spot. And then in the East, we got the Mets. This is an interesting team because this could set the market. Are they going to be a buy or a sell mode? Are they going to keep Pete Alonso, Polar Bear? They're fun to watch offensively. JD Martinez, now that he's been getting rolling, and once Alvarez, their catcher, came back, it's really just helped their lineup improve, become a little deeper. I'm going to be interested. I think they're going to battle, that's for sure, in that wild card. NL Central, this whole division is it's tough. Let's just face it. The Brewers, I think, are the most complete team. Pirates really need some bats like we talked about. And here's the deal with the Pirates, guys. Paul Skeens may be shut down early. They're not going to throw him 200 innings in his first year. This is their guy for the next 15 years. They're going to probably shut him down. I would guess 140 to 160 pitches. So, there could be the last few weeks of the season or maybe month of the season where he just gets shut down in general, especially if they're not really in a playoff spot. Reds, they've been inconsistent all season. They go and sweep the Yankees, I think it was, and then they got swept by the Tigers at home right after or something like that. Rhys Hines, what a start for that youngster. Holy cow. It could be a huge piece down the stretch. But Reds are competing. They got a chance. Again, as you can see, all these teams, I mean, they're all within 6 games of the last wild card spot, including the Nationals. And then you got the Cubs, who they're playing a little better, but I just don't trust their offense, especially the bottom of that order. So we'll see. Imanaga's due for some. He's having some negative regression and things like that. But run differential in the NL Central is insane. I mean, you can just tell. First, you got the Brewers plus 79, the Reds plus 38, and then everybody else is negative. Cardinals minus 38, Pirates minus 9, Cubs minus 5. Four of these five teams, in my opinion, have glaring weaknesses, and the only team that doesn't is the Brewers. So predictions on this one, I see those three division winners, honestly, just continuing to win their division. And I can see maybe, I think a Braves, Mets, and if the Mets don't sell, Braves, Mets, and maybe Diamondbacks in the playoffs. I know Giants and Pods are in the mix. To be honest, there's not a lot that separates these teams. It's absolutely insane. I would definitely lean Padres over the Giants. I just don't trust the Giants offense at all. But I think the Reds got a sneaky chance as well. But D-backs, since losing the World Series, they had a terrible start, having that hangover. They need their guy Corbin Carroll to come back to form. He has obviously been better. The first month or two of the season was horrendous. I mean, he was one of the worst hitters in the majors. So I would not count them out on making the playoffs. That's for sure. And kudos to the Nats down there, by the way. Are they going to make the playoffs? Probably not. But they are absolutely fighting, competing. One of the more profitable teams to bet on, actually. So, anyways, that is the AL and NL wild card or playoff standings for you. And now it's time for the best bets. All right, my first mid-season bet may be my favorite. Give me the Minnesota Twinkies to win the AL Central plus 220 on DraftKings. You saw it already. The 4.5 games back of the Cleveland Guardians. I think they take it. And no, I don't really think the Royals are quite ready to make a run this season. Just way too inconsistent on offense, especially when they're on the road. But Guardians have gone 6-7 in the month of July. Their offense is cooling off, and I kind of expect them to be cooling off. They got off to a blistering start. Their starting rotation is a big reason why I'm fading them. We talked about it already. The rotation for the Guardians is just flat out bad. I mean, it is just really terrible. I think they have one of the worst 3 or 4 rotations in the league right now. They don't have one guy that you think, okay, he can go stop a losing streak or he can go pitch for us and get us a win. We already mentioned it. Spencer Howard, Yuck, Ben Lively, Carrasco, all those guys. But if the Guardians cool off a bit, hitting-wise, they're going to be in trouble because they don't have a lot of room for error, in my opinion. But it's all about the Twinkies also. Their lineup is freaking loaded. Let's be honest. It's just absolutely stupid right now. Since June 1st, they have the number 1 offense in the league. You may not have known that. 136 WRC plus. Number 2 slugging at 483. Number 1 on base percentage. Oh, by the way, Royce Lewis is probably going to be coming back soon. Carlos Correa having a career year. Jose Miranda is unreal, hitting 325, setting MLB records. Buxton catching fire, hitting 285. Willie Castro hitting 270. How about rookie Brooks Lee just absolutely raking? They're going to have to find a spot for him when Royce Lewis comes back. This lineup is very deep, and they can put up 7 runs on absolutely anybody. I know they just let us down on a bet recently when I had them on the money line, but this lineup is absolutely just freaking loaded if they can stay healthy. Now, the Twins rotation, it's not elite, obviously, but remember, we're talking about winning the AL Central and really just out-dueling the Cleveland Guardians here. Joe Ryan, solid, obviously. Pablo Lopez has been a disappointment, but I expect a better second half from him. 5.11 ERA, 3.68 expected ERA, and a ridiculously low 3.12 xFIP. This guy will come back to the norm. I think he's going to have a better season. Or a better second half. He's going to have a good little 1-2 punch with him. SWR, Simeon Woods Richardson has been pretty decent. He hasn't been great, but he's eating some innings. Good 3 or 4 starter there. They could use another arm, obviously, but there's going to be weaknesses all over this division. But they still have a better rotation, in my opinion, especially deeper rotation than the Cleveland Guardians. Twins bullpen, not as good as the Guardians. Nobody is really, but they have not been bad. How about the 9th best ERA at 3.54, 3.34 ERA since June 1st. Duran, one of the best closers. We know it. This Central Division's got some closers. Griffin Jacks, I have him on my fantasy team. I don't know why, honestly, but he's been absolutely awesome. 1.96 ERA in 41.1 innings. Jorge Alcala has been really good. 1.57 ERA, 9.96 whip in 34.1 innings. And to finish it off, the Cleveland Guardians have the 2nd toughest schedule in the entire league the rest of the way. That's not going to help. Twins' schedule is right there in the middle average. I think the Twins' offense and the rotation have pretty sizable advantages over the Guardians. I think we're going to start seeing this Twins team take over this division at some point. I'm not saying the Guardians are terrible. I think this Twins team is better, and I'm getting more than 2-1 for this Twins team to catch up on this Guardians. I like it. Give me the Twinkies to win the AL Central as my first best bet. All right, you know what time it is. It is time for that KALSHI trade of the day. We've been doing this. Me and Ryan are having a ton of fun, especially during this MLB All-Star break trading. If you don't know what it is, It's federally regulated in all 50 states. It's like stocks. You can trade, sell your shares, all that kind of stuff. But of interest of you, all world events. It is just an absolute blast. So click that link below in the description. Go check it out. And the first 500 signups get a $20 bonus credit. Today's trade of the day, the movie Deadpool and Wolverine. We are going to trade on the Rotten Tomatoes score. This movie's coming out soon. One of the most viewed trailers out there, so we're going to just think this is going to be a good movie. Everything we've read said this is going to be awesome. We're going to go right here. Yes for 54-cent contracts on above an 84 score on Rotten Tomatoes. So you click on that. You go over here. I'm going to put $5 on it. Why not? So there we go. We get 8 contracts. We're going to hit review, and there we are. We submit that trade, and we are done. We're having a lot of fun, and we just keep checking back every single day on all these different trades and sell and all that kind of stuff. So anyways, that's the KALSHI trade of the day, and now let's get back to some more baseball talk. All right, this second one hurts my heart to talk about, but I am here to give you my unbiased opinion, and this is going to suck. Number 2, the Astros to win the American League West at plus 125 on FanDuel. What are we freaking doing with this line, guys? These two teams are practically tied now. The Mariners only 1.5 games up on the division, which is nothing for how many games are left. And by the way, the Astros aren't even in the playoffs. So the second place team in this division might not even make the playoffs. So really the Mariners are only 2 games out of not making the playoffs, which is insane to me. But let's talk about my Mariners first. I bashed them a lot. Okay, let's talk the good first. They have one of the best starting rotations in the major leagues. Are they as good on the road? No, not quite. They do have the nice confines of T-Mobile Park to pitch in, but still, Logan Gilbert, George Kirby, we know these guys are great. Luis Castillo's had an okay season, nothing special. Bryce Miller been elite at home and not so good on the road, although his last start was pretty good. Mariners 20-19 since June 1st. That's not an elite division-leading team, first of all. They have gone 7-10 versus teams with a 500 or better record in that stretch. 13-9 versus bad teams. They were just beating the White Sox, the A's. I mean, they were beating some bad teams. It was to the Angels, by the way, to end the series. The first half, they lost 3 of 4. They lost 2 of 3 to the Marlins, 2 of 3 to the Jays. I mean, the Mariners are not playing very good baseball. Now, the big reason is we all know it. They're bottom 5 offense. The superstar Julio Rodriguez, who went from Rookie of the Year, Home Run Derby, almost winner, to nothing, is just absolutely killing me. He really is. And not saying he can't turn it around. He's already started to do that. He's not drawing any walks. He looks like he's regressing at the plate, striking out a ton, chasing pitches, swinging early in counts. Literally, the plate discipline has been terrible. And then on top of that, you got Haniger, Garver, Crawford, and Ty France. All below average Major League Baseball hitters right now. I mean, the numbers say it. My eyeballs say it. The only bright spot is Cal Raleigh hitting absolute haters everywhere. One of the best hitting catchers in the major leagues. But he also has over a 30% K rate and is hitting around 200. That's the heart of our order we're talking about. So this team looks like it's, as we talked about, they literally look like they're trying to set a record on how many times they can strike out. If we go to the bullpen, they're good, but not as dominant as they used to be at the beginning of the season. Andres Munoz, one of the best closers in the game. He's an all-star, obviously. But the Astros, guys, this is night and day. We're talking a bottom 3 offense versus maybe a top 3 offense, but definitely a top 5 offense in the MLB. We all know the core guys. Jose Altuve still swinging it well. Alex Bregman's starting to come back to reality now, finally, and hitting the ball. They haven't had Kyle Tucker in a while. He's going to be coming back shortly. Yordan Alvarez, one of the better hitters in the major leagues. Yainer Diaz, a good hitting catcher. Jeremy Pena. This lineup is deep. It is loaded. It is very experienced. And then the rotation. This is where they sucked. I mean, they just flat out sucked, guys, in the first 2 months of the season because of their starting rotation. The first 2 months of the year, they had the 4th worst ERA as a part pitching as a starting staff at 4.82, a 4.46 xFIP. I'm struggling. It's a lot of words, guys. It's not easy. Since June 1st, they have the 4th best ERA now. So that's right. They went from the 4th worst to all of a sudden, in the last month and a half, they now have the 4th best ERA, 3.49 ERA, 4.08 xFIP. It's just been really, really good. And yes, the Mariners are right up there with it. But if the Astros are going to be that close to the Mariners rotation with the lineup they have, it's not even close. Hunter Brown has been one of the better pitchers in regards to a turnaround. Since June 1st, he's been one of the best pitchers in Major League Baseball. Before that, he was absolutely awful. And then Spencer Arrighetti Spaghetti has shown some improvement. Ronel Blanco, solid all season long. We know all about Verlander, all those guys. But in summary, this is easy for me, guys. The Astros are just so much better offensively that nothing else really matters. As long as their rotation could be decent enough, like a top 10 rotation in the league. And like I said, they've been the 4th best since June 1st. if they can be there, I don't see why the Astros don't just win this division. I honestly don't. More experience. It's not even close. I thought I would get the Astros. I thought the bookmakers knew what they were seeing in the Astros. And I thought we'd be seeing them at like minus 120, minus 130, but they're still dropping some plus money, and that could be gone in like a couple weeks. And by the way, they play each other start the second half. I hope I am wrong. I'm telling you that right now. I am not rooting for the Astros because of this bet, but I just got to give it to you. And speaking of the Astros, let's just keep going one more. A bonus bet just to look into. It's a small sprinkle. Bet number 3 is the Astros to maybe win the American League. Maybe he's not a part of it, but plus 800 on FanDuel is pretty insane. They already have a top 5 lineup and may end up trading for, they already are connected to Vladimir Guerrero, all those kind of guys. We know how experienced they are with Hunt, and they got Hunter Brown, Ronel Blanco, Framber, Verlander, who I mentioned earlier is going to be back by the end of July. I didn't mention Framber Valdez. He's also a good pitcher. I just don't see. I see way more weaknesses in my Mariners team than I do see here. And plus 800 to just win a couple playoff series for an experienced team like this with this much talent, I think it's worth a sprinkle. I'm not saying go put a unit on it or anything like that, but it's just if you're looking for a dark horse team, the Astros to win the American League is an option. Obviously, if I had to pick without any odds, the Astros probably wouldn't be my first team. But anyways, that is my second and third best bet. And now let's go to bet number 4. All right, this fourth one, we go to the AL East, the Baltimore Orioles to be the number 1 seed in the playoffs at plus 210 on DraftKings. They're plus like 135 to win the AL East, so I think we're getting great value here because I think the winner of the AL East ends up being the actual number 1 seed. I don't think the Guardians or Twins will get there. Maybe the Astros, but they'd have to really turn it on to catch up. So I really don't see that happening. So it's going to be between them and the Yankees. I'm getting better odds at plus 210 since June 1st. And if you just want to go them to win the AL East, I don't mind that too. I do like the Orioles to win the division, but since June 1st, the offense and bullpen for the New York Yankees have absolutely fallen apart. They are 12th best WRC plus, which is about average, but they were number 1 and everything to start the year. They finally came back down to earth. Offense is very top heavy, as we know. Aaron Judge, Juan Soto, and Giancarlo Stanton. Guys, we're talking about guys who have been hurt a lot in their career. And Aaron Judge is already dealing with a toe injury right now. Can he make it through? Can Stanton really make it through? He's not that he's that elite, but and then their bullpen, 21st best ERA. I mean, we're used to a Yankees bullpen that has been dynamite for like the last 5 years, it seems like. But they have a 4.24 ERA. I do think they just overachieved to start the year. Let's be honest. I don't think any of us thought they were that good. But as for the Orioles, they need a starting pitcher just like the Yankees. They have some prospects that they can give up for a guy like Mr. Garrett Crochet. I'm going to keep mentioning him. He could change a team's fortune, honestly. He is so freaking good right now, and I know a lot of teams are after him, so we'll see if the Orioles make it. But if we pair him with Corbin Burns, that is going to be one hell of a 1-2 punch the rest of the year and in the playoff series, too. Orioles offense since June 1st, how about the 3rd best WRC+, 4th best OPS? This lineup is deep. This lineup is loaded. They are also very young. So, but they did have a lot of experience yet last year in the regular season, in the playoff race at the end of the year, and in the playoffs. And then Orioles bullpen, not as dominant as last season, but it's still been better than the Yankees. They're still a top 10, top 12 bullpen. Now, like I said, I don't really think the Guardians are going to be a part of this when it's all said and done. So I like the Orioles to be the number 1 seed at plus 210 when really it's probably a coin flip at worst. I mean, with them and the Yankees. So plus 210, I'll take it. That is my bet number 4. All right, this 5th and final bet is a little different. We go to a Cy Young Award. Give me Chris freaking Sale to win the NL Cy Young at plus 140 on DraftKings. This is a 2-man race in my opinion. Now, you Pirates fans are freaking out. What about Paul Skeens plus 500? Listen, he's as good as it gets. I'm not going to say that, but I've talked about this already. I think he's going to be on a pitch count. This is just my opinion. If you don't agree, I understand. That's fine. I think he's going to be in that 140, 150, 160 innings range, which might take him through, I don't know, August? I think he's going to miss the last few weeks at least of the season, and he's already a little behind because he started late. So I think it would be really tough, especially with how good Mr. Chris Sale and Zach Wheeler are both throwing. Sale has just been unbelievable. He leads in WAR for starting pitchers. And when you look at guys that have won before, it's not really wins, losses, anything like that. It's like, how many guys are they striking out? Is their ERA low? What's their WAR? That's what these voters look for. K rate, Wheeler, 27% K rate. Nothing to laugh at. Chris Sale, 33%. If you watch him pitch, he reminds me a lot of, because I'm a Mariner fan, of the big unit, Randy Johnson. Obviously, he gets that comparison a lot. the sidearm long reach lefty with a slider that starts in the batter's box of a left-hander and ends on the back right foot of a righty. I mean, it's just been unbelievable to watch. It's one of the best pitches in baseball right now is his slider. I cannot believe he came back to form like he is right now. But this year he has just been unbelievable. His command is there. His walk rate is down. So it's just been really impressive, and I just like what I'm seeing. And here's the other thing on Zach Wheeler. I know because I bet him to win a game and he barely did, but he left the game early his last start, and he's not going to be pitching in the All-Star game now. He might be dealing with some sort of injury. If he is and misses some starts, that's going to widen this gap a little bit. So it's pretty simple for me. Plus 140 Chris Sale. Obviously, it's not a huge plus 800 future or anything like that. But I think it's a two-man race. I'm going to put my cards in on Mr. Sale to win the NL Cy Young as my fifth and final future bet of this mid-season video. But before we finish it, we got to get to the World Series predictions. All right, let's have some fun and end it with some World Series predictions. No odds, no bets. This is just me picking who I think is going to make it happen. I believe I had the Braves of the Orioles in the first or in the preseason video of the MLB. Too many injuries on the Braves. I am out. Give me the Philadelphia Phillies versus the Baltimore Orioles in the World Series with the trophy going back to Philly. That's right. I think the Phillies are just absolutely loaded. We're talking a team, a top 3 starting rotation, top 3 bullpen, top 5 offense. I mean, even if you want to argue that, top 5 in all of them, it's just absolutely loaded. And to me, in my opinion, they got a bunch of dogs on this team. We've seen it. I mean, Bryce Harper, these guys in the playoffs, they are experienced. They are not afraid of the spotlight. They have a proven playoff track record. Also I'm just amazed by some of these young players and how they played. Like Alec Boehm, you just saw him in the home run derby. But Ranger Suarez, Christopher Sanchez, like Suarez having like a Cy Young type season also, or at least in the conversation. I mean, it's just been unreal for what they've been doing. We know what Zach Wheeler does, Aaron Nola. And that's the one worry. By the way, I do have a Chris Sale winning a Cy Young, and Zach Wheeler might be on the best team in the entire major leagues. That might help him a little bit, but we'll see. But either way, I just think the Phillies are loaded. I think they can take care of business against the Dodgers and the rest of the NL, which I don't think is that hard. And then the AL with the Baltimore Orioles, you guys already know it. I think they're going to win the division. I think they get the 1 seed. And this is a young team. When I watched them last year, I thought, you know what, this is a good stepping stone because I didn't think they were going to win it last year. I thought they'd be good, and they did. They took that next step. They saw what losing in the playoffs was like. They had these, you could hear them afterwards. They said, okay, we want this even more now. We've tasted it. And this young team is just absolutely loaded. I really hope they go out and get a starting pitcher to make this a little bit easier on themselves because Bradish and all these guys, John Means, have been injured, and they're not going to be pitching the rest of the year. But anyways, that's what I got. Give me the Phillies over the Baltimore Orioles as my World Series prediction. Thank you guys for listening to me. If you're still listening to this part of the video, I appreciate it. I just want to talk some baseball this week, and it's a lot of fun. So anyways, before we wrap it all up, let's check out that recap. There it is, my 5 mid-season future bets. We got the Twins to win the AL Central, Astros to win the AL West, a little tiny sprinkle on the Astros to win the American League, Orioles to be the number 1 seed in the AL, and then Chris Sale to win the NL Cy Young. World Series prediction, Phillies over Orioles. That's what I got. That's just all my predictions, and hopefully we get some winners. That would be awesome. All plus money, of course, because you got to. You can't go minus 110 type bets right now, but anyways, thank you guys for listening. I really appreciate it. It was a lot of fun talking baseball. We're going to be back for Thursday night for that Friday slate of MLB as we get to the second half of the year and get into some really exciting baseball. So thanks again. I appreciate it. If you haven't already, hit that like button. But hope you have a great day, and we'll talk to you soon.